Hello, and welcome to .NET Builds. This is the third part of our series where we're building a clone of the YouTube Studio app. In the last video, we worked on the first part of the dashboard page. In this video, we'll create this section of the screen. If you enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. First, we'll add this latest published content label. So we'll head back to our dashboard.xaml page, and below the cards, we'll add a label and set its text to latest published content. We'll give it a font size of medium and make it bold. Then, we'll set its grid.row to 3 and its grid.column span to 4. With that added, we can now focus on adding these expandable cards for the recent videos. Rather than simply hard-coding the values in the UI, we'll create a view model with some dummy data and bind to that from our XAML using the MVVM pattern. Now, you'll remember that we created folders for our models and view models in the first video, so we'll right-click on our models folder and add a new class. We can name it Content Model as it'll represent a piece of published video content. Inside our class, we can begin adding properties for the title, description, views, likes, comments count, date published, thumbnail, ranking, average view duration, and click-through rate. Next, we'll head over to our View Models folder and create a new class which we'll name Dashboard View Model. To make our lives easier, we're going to be using the MVVM Community Toolkit. So we'll search for the Community Toolkit.mvvm package in the NuGet Package Manager and install it. Back in our Dashboard View Model, we'll add a using statement for the Community Toolkit.mvvm.component model namespace and have our class inherit from observable object. Next, we'll add an observable collection of our content model class and call it Recent Videos. This is what we'll bind to in our XAML file. First, though, we can populate it with some data. So we'll create a constructor and set the Recent Videos property to a collection containing 3 instances of our content model class. Now, if we take another look at the reference, you'll notice that the cards all have the same layout and similar characteristics. However, we won't be using a style for these cards. Instead, we'll use what's called a bindable layout. This will allow us to create a template and bind to our Recent Videos collection. So we'll add a stack layout and set its grid.row to 4 and its grid.column span to 4. Next, we'll attach our bindable layout by setting the bindable layout.item source and binding to our Recent Videos observable collection. Inside the stack layout, we'll add a bindable layout.item template and we'll add in a data template. Inside our data template, we can now begin working on the UI for the cards. First, we'll add in a border. We'll set its style to our card style that we created in the last video so that it has the same background color, corner radius, and padding as the other cards. We'll add a margin of 15 on the bottom. We can also set a shadow on our border. We'll set the brush to gray 400, the radius to 1, the opacity to 0.9, and the X and Y offset to 0. Inside of our border, we'll add in a grid with 3 rows and 2 columns. The image will go in the first column, while the title and description will span the rest of the space. We'll add row spacing and column spacing values of 10. Next, we'll add our image. First, we'll paste the images we'll be using in the Images folder. You'll want to make sure that the names of the images match with the values of the thumbnail property in our dummy data. Once we've done that, we can add in our border with a transparent stroke and a round rectangle stroke shape with a radius of 8. Inside the border, we'll add an image control and bind its source to our thumbnail property. If we run the app now, we should see our 3 cards with the images showing in the first column. However, as you can see, nothing shows up below the published content label. This is because we forgot to connect our view to our view model. So first, we'll head over to the MAUI program.cs file and register our view and view model in dependency injection. We'll add in the using statements for our classes as well. Then, we'll open the code behind file for our dashboard view and modify the constructor to inject an instance of our dashboard view model class. Inside the constructor, we'll set the binding context for the dashboard page to our view model instance. Now that our view knows about our view model, we can now run the app and see our cards show up. Back in the project, we'll add in a vertical stack layout and set its grid.column to 1. Inside it, we'll add 2 labels. We'll bind the text of the first one to our title property and set its line break mode to tail truncation. We'll set the text of the second label to bind to our date published property. Below the vertical stack layout, we'll add a border with a grid.row of 1, a grid.column span of 2, and a height request of 1. This will create a simple line or divider below the title and thumbnail. If we run the app again, we can see that what we've done looks good. For the final section of the card, you'll notice that it can be clicked on to expand the card and show more stats about the video. We can implement this easily by using the expander control which comes with the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit. We'll do that in the next video.